everybody. This is my favorite time. Get with me, favorite time. This is the favorite time of my day. This is my favorite time. My favorite time. My favorite time of my day. My favorite time. My favorite time. Favorite time of the day. Father, I thank you today for my favorite time to share with anybody that's willing to listen to what we have been discussing. You talking to me and me being the student of your word according to 2 Samuel, 2 Kings, the 8th chapter. You are the teacher of all teachers. If I've ever been in the classroom where I have learned that there is a good teacher instructing me, you are the one. I've never seen a lesson plan written as well as yours. I've never seen a curriculum as like yours. I've never seen an instructor like you. And I'm just glad to know that I got a chance to get in one of the best school in the world, and it's yours. And when you can qualify to get in your school, you open it up to everybody, and I came in, and I don't want to miss a day of hearing you teach. Lord, I thank you for the weather here where I live, and I thank you that it's getting better in Texas, in Mississippi, in all areas that I may not know where people are having a hard time dealing with something like, the unknown. But you are God, and it is right that we pray for our brothers and sisters that are across the world, God. Show kindness to them, God. Show them the right thing they need to do or can do to make life better. Bless every last one of them, God. These are your people, and you are our God. Thank you for it. It has been as well as it is. We got a lot to be thankful for. Most of all, Father, thank you for the wisdom that you would give to anybody that would sit at this table and would eat from what you would serve today. Let your words be the words that come through my lips, as it did Elisha's. And I just repeat what he said, which is what he heard you say. May I say every word that you have instructed to be said for this day. Thank you for forgiving me of my sins, Father. And help me to forgive those who sin against me. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, I'm ready to eat out of 2 Kings chapter 8. And it's going to fall in from chapter 7. So what was going on at the end of chapter 7 was that the famine or the starvation, it wasn't a famine, is that Syrian had surrounded these people so much so until they couldn't find get anything to eat. And so when they surrounded them, they couldn't go out, and neither could anybody come in. And with that being said, people starved, and some starved to death. And they got to the point that they were even eating their children. But God had told Moses, said, nothing would catch you by surprise. Nothing. Not even today, nothing catches us by surprise. God said, I'm going to give you instructions on how to stay away from things that you don't understand. He said, stay in line with what I'm saying, what I'm giving Moses, and then you can stay away from this type of, what's the word, tragedy, or this type of situation, or this type of devastation. He said, these are the things you cannot do, and these are my guarantees that it will never happen to you. And he told them to stay close to him, stay in his word. He said, because that's how I created you. I created you like a candle, and I'm the only somebody that can put light on the candle called you. So when you neglect what I say, he said, let me tell you what is going to happen. What is going to happen is you're going to get so far from me until if you are able to survive being away from me like that, then you're going to need me, because you may have to crawl back. So the children of Israel got so far away from God until they thought they can function without him. And he said, you can't. None of us can. None of us can function away from God. And who is God? His word. He told us what to do in order to stay safe. Somebody called me yesterday and they was asking me, they were telling me what they thought the reason how Corona got here. And well, and I had my opinion about what it was and what I believe is right. Number one, nothing catches us by surprise, or it's supposed to. When you get so far away from what God said not to do, and he said, if you do these things will happen. What happens is we don't know what he said not to do. Because it's clearly is Corona from God? Well, if I told you yes, then I'm going to have a hard time convincing you. So let's just go back and say what happens when we don't follow instructions. And then go back and see 400 years ago, God said these things will cause the earth to respond like this. The earth responds from God for us. But when we work against God, the earth said, I'm lost. The atmosphere, the air, the water. When Jonah was on the sea, and that sea started talking, said something is not right. When Jesus was crucified, the earth started shaking. When God told Pharaoh to let the people go, stuff started happening. Water turned into blood. When God speaks, nature says something. When something is not right, nature talks to God. When Cain killed Abel, the blood in the ground, and the ground starts speaking. And Jesus said, if you don't praise me, then the rocks will make a noise. When the Philistines saw that they had a plague in the land, they asked God, is it from you? And God said, and they said, well, if it's from you, we're going to ask you, and this is not what happened, but you can go back and ask, and you can Google, what happened to the Philistines when they asked God, is this plague from you? And asked him, did God say, no, that ain't from me? People said this is from the devil. The devil didn't write the curriculum. What is the curriculum? It's the guidelines that you need to follow in order to get to the destination that you're supposed to be and want to be. So God is saying, check my curriculum and see if I set anything in order to keep you from this. So what do we do if we have drifted so far from God that we got stuff that we can't control? You go back and see, what did God say? You get your paper. You get your, this is the teacher passing out the paper. And the teacher, you probably can't see it the way I do. You go back and she said the answer to number 1 is this, and then you put a check on it. If you put a check on it, it means more than likely you got it right. And number 2 is C. You put an X on it. Number 3 is A, and you got D. You put another X on there. And then number 4 is C, and you got an A. You put another X. So then the teacher says, I'm going to redo this test. Go back to the notes that I gave you before I gave you this test, and I'm going to give it to you again. If you got them wrong, go back and do it over. And then bring your paper back. And then I'll give you the test again, and we'll start over. But what we're doing is we get a wrong grade. How we get here? What's happening? And then you don't have enough people that's teaching you the word, so you can't help but be lost. Because the word is saying, I'm going to give you he said, every time you go in my word, I need you to walk out with a negative and a positive. So you're going to stand there and say, am I going to go left or am I going to go right? Every time we get instructed by God, you're supposed to walk out with a decision. We're not supposed to be lost. Is this from God? Go back and check the curriculum. Why do we feel like we exempt? And God sent plagues on countries, and he tells you how to get out of it. He said, first of all, the people that's supposed to act like me, go do what I told you to do, because everybody else not listening. But those of you that's acting like me or know me, you know how I like you to clean up. Go clean up the areas. Put things back in order. Because anytime things are out of order, it's going to be chaotic. That's with any business. That's with any house. That's with any school. That's with anything. But what do you do to bring back order? You go back and pick up the stuff that's out of order and put it back where it belongs. It's just that simple. God is in control. And he said, nothing will ever catch you by surprise. And then I hear people saying, if the pastor said, why you didn't tell us that the corona was coming since you hear from God? Well, perhaps if he's carrying that license, he was authorized to tell you that. But if he's not talking to God, he can't tell you that. A lot of stuff will catch you by surprise. If you sleep with another woman's husband, and the man find out, and something happened to you and you go missing, and he said, I did it. You know what you did to get that? You know if you don't ever wash your dishes, you're gonna have some roaches. That ain't catching us by surprise. Name one thing that caught us by surprise. You know that if somebody can lie to you, but one thing God said, I ain't gonna lie to you. These things will bring these things. 2 + 2, it ain't gonna change. That's just sin plus sin equals COVID. How do we get out of COVID? Go back like the teacher said. Get the word. See what we're doing that's not lining with the word. And go redo it. Stop doing it. It may have taken us 100 years from the last 100 years, but if we didn't learn it, and most of us, at least I didn't know nothing about this happening 100 years ago. But whatever they did, we evidently repeated what they did, and we got the same thing. And you can't get mad at the leader and say, why you didn't tell us about COVID? That leader not seeking God because you told him not to. You asking the president of the United States, why you ain't tell us about COVID? You told that man we don't want to hear from God. He can't tell you that. He's human just like you. The word said it. That's all I'm saying. We gotta stop. We gotta act like we gotta believe this word is for real. Which part of this book should I tear out? What part I don't need to read? Let me see. Somebody said they read the New Testament. Well, I'm not gonna do that. I'm reading the old, and then I read the new, but after I start reading the old, I understand the new. The old is the. I wish I had a bowl in here, and I'm gonna put some cake flour. I'm gonna put some flour. I'm gonna sift my flour. Where I got my eggs and my butter and my sugar and my flavor, and then I'm gonna put my salt and my soda and my plain flour, cake flour, and then I'm gonna mix my eggs and sugar and stuff on this side, my wet ingredients, and then I'm gonna gradually put that in there. That's the Old Testament. And then the New Testament said it's done. You don't put it in the oven and you pull it out, say it's done. Jesus said it is finished. The word said learn the how to bake the cake. Go back and learn how, and you taste Jesus. Oh, this is so good. And he said, now go back and learn of me. Where did I start? I started in Genesis. And if you read it right, you're going to roll from one chapter to the next chapter to the next chapter. And then you'll be on the same page, that he said. And you're going to bake that same cake and get the same. It's going to taste just alike. Only description is when I taste it, I can't tell you how good it tastes. You got to taste it for yourself. So I'm getting ready to go into the ingredients today, which is the Old Testament. And I'm going to, and I know what Jesus said. And he said, me and my Father are the same. You can't bake the cake differently from what it's going to taste like. The batter is the same thing. The Old Testament is the batter. And the New Testament is the cake. And Jesus said, behold, I give you the recipe. Go out and teach other people how to bake the same cake that I just cooked. So, but I hate to see us lost, because I've been in education long enough to know kids are not lost when you got a good teacher. You just didn't obey. But if you want to pass this class, do like God told the first children on earth, said, go back and do it over. And the boy said, I ain't doing it over. And I'm going to kill the one that did it right. And ever since then, people have been trying to shut the light out of God's goodness by killing the people that's trying to tell you, go do it over. There is no spooky thing. God said, Solomon built that temple. He said, Lord, when we get so far from you, will you hear us? God said, I will, but will you call me? It's not that I won't hear. It's will you remember to call me? Or will the enemy have you so shamed that I just can't call him now? Because this is how these folk at. So this guy's like, I just don't deserve it. God like, please, call me. Call me. And don't be ashamed to call me. I don't care what kind of condition you get in. I tell you the truth. When I was early 20s, and I liked this guy, and he came over to my apartment. I was directing the choir, and he was like I was really close to his sister. And I kissed the guy. And the guy threw me down. Now, man, I was like, wait, hold on, what you doing? This guy put his hand on my neck, and he threw me down. And I was helpless. And he had me, this is my head, and he was getting ready to rape me. But I had been witnessing to the girl that was next door. And all I can feel in my head was like, I said, how can I explain this? I was so ashamed of what this guy was getting ready to do to me. And I had never seen a man's body part with my eyes in my life. Never seen the body part of a man's personal part. And when that guy did that, I was so ashamed I didn't even know how to call God. All I could see was, I'm thinking in my head, this girl next door I would never be able to explain to her what's happening in this house. So we had a duplex. And I just decided I'm going to take my chances. Like them 4 lepers yesterday. I'm just going to take a chance. I'm going to call his name. And I said, Jesus. Jesus. I might have just said it so soft. I was so scared to call him. God picked that man up off of me. Shoot! Yanked that man up off of me like a puppet. He said, you don't want me to do this to you? Did I ask you to do this to me? No, I don't want you to touch me. Don't do this to me. And from that day, I saw, if I ever go home, I may see him. He know what happened in there. I said, no, don't do that to me. Why did I say that? Because God, if we remember not to be shamed or not to feel embarrassed to call him, he said, I'll answer. The problem is you're just not calling me. You still trying to wait on, you fussing about vaccines and you fussing about the stuff. He said, you ain't talking to me. If you talk to me, I'm obligated to talk to you. I gave you my word I would. I know he'll answer. I know it. And I'm not saying it because my hair gray. I'm really learning who he is for the most part because I'm older. It is not because I'm older. It's just, I just happen to be, I've been reading this word for 25 years. I've been in the church 61 minus 25. I started reading this word in 1995. I learned to read it when I retired from school. And I said, oh, this is how to read it. He said, that's how to read it. It's a gentle book. It's very gentle. It's very delicate. It's like, it's no way you can understand chapter 8 without understanding chapter 7. All I can say is, we got to read the book. And just, we got to stop being proud and just go back and do what he said. Or, I just read another this morning, another man in the church. There's so many people in the church I grew up dying, and they all preachers. I had a dream before it ever happened. I ain't know nothing about that dream I had. It didn't scare me. It's just like, what kind of dream is that? Way before this happened, I ain't know nothing. I'm just telling you the truth. I saw so many dead. All I saw was preachers that I knew, and they were dead, but they were dressed up in a suit looked like dead flies. They were the maggots. And I said, why do they look like they got on a suit shining like them big old blue black flies? I ain't had no idea that I would see a day where it kind of might have been ain't tell nobody. I told somebody, but all I'm saying is now when I get to reading chapter 8, you might want to turn in some of these man-made credentials that they gave you, because chapter 8, you need a preacher. You need somebody to explain it to you in a way where if you don't know, because chapter 8 would get, God did this. God was like this. Chapter 7, okay, you kind of understand it. And you might have went up like this. But chapter 8, he does something that you got to pay attention. He's what am I teaching you? How to pay attention to detail. It's very easy. But if you're walking here on your own, you'll have to have somebody to say, show me what this means. I read this thing so many times. And I asked the Lord, why is it sounding so confusing? And then that's when you go to other people, and like I always do. But this one, I had to really sit in that class and say, okay, read me this. And the very thing that I had to struggle with was the same thing other people had to struggle with, and we all got the answer. Of course, they've been reading much longer than me. But chapter 8 would determine whether or not you in the class that God is saying, are you paying attention? Because I write in details. Watch my details. Because what happens, we shout, something bite me. I'm sorry, y'all. Something bite my foot. We dance when we see something, and then God says, ain't through talking. What are you dancing for? See what else I did, because you need to hear the whole chapter. All right, I will say this. Chapter 8, I'm going to have to go really slowly, because I want to because I know that this video, somebody going to look for it later on. Maybe not from me, but I want to be able to serve people to say, when you get to chapter 8 of 2 Kings, watch what God does. Now, some of you all might catch it. I didn't catch it. And most people that I know, the lady I read with every night, she didn't catch it. First, she would argue with me. I said, wait a minute, back up what you're saying. We don't argue over the word. She might just say it heavily. Well, Brenda, I don't see it like that. And I said, go back and read it. And then she said, oh, I see it. What is God saying? A good teacher will show you more than one way to get the answer. And it's almost like this chapter is going to be, I'm set it up because I know it's going to be kind of, I just pray God show me how to flow it out of my mouth. It's like if you're a businessman and you interview people and you put a question on there and you know the answer, but the person is taking the questionnaire or the question or the whatever it is to be interviewed, you put a question on there that say, if they pay attention to details, hire him. Because the question is going to be structured in a way. Pay attention. This person right here pays attention to detail. Hire that person. And I'll say this to show you what chapter 8 is talking about. Okay, I'm going to say the word. In the United States, we pronounce the word school, S-C-H-O-O-L, school. In some countries, they pronounce S-C-H as shul. So I think it was Gideon when they were fighting, and he knew that some of those people blended in. And they were all dressed similarly. But he said, there's one thing that you're going to do to show me if you're from the United States. You're going to pronounce these words S-C-H-O-O-L as school. So the soldiers would stop the person because he said, some of y'all ain't got no business. Some of y'all supposed to be dead. So it's not the word school they used, but it was a word similar to something that begins with an S, I think. But anyway, if you came up and said, are you from the United States? Yes. Pronounce this word. School. Okay, he's good. Another person came in. Pronounce this word. School. Good. Another person. You from the United States? Yes. Pronounce the word. Shoo. Kill him. Because they said they knew how to say, they knew what the word was, but their pronunciation, like we say Jesus, and you go to the Eastern, they say Jesus. So they knew that you were not from there because how you pronounce the word. So chapter 8 is going to say it's going to be something in here, and you got to watch what I'm doing because your life depends on did you pay attention to the details. Be little bit of things like that. And what if God says to a leader that's leading people, explain to me chapter 8 of 2 Kings and tie it with chapter 7 and then take me into chapter 9. Because if you say that I called you, I don't remember you sitting at the table asking me because I purposely put this chapter in here because you're going to need me to give you an understanding on this one. That's what the disciples did when they heard Jesus talking. He said, okay, explain to us, Lord, what you just said because we heard you, but we didn't get that. And Jesus said, nah. Then he said, well, come on, let me tell you. God, this book is written like that. This book is written where it ain't nowhere in the world that you can read it on your own without getting with somebody else. And that's what a good teacher does. I love it. That's why I love it. I said, man, if I had this while I was still teaching, I would. It's just amazing how God writes. And then he says, if you search me, you'll find me. I am not boring. This chapter good. Let me get into the chapter because here we go. All right, so yesterday, chapter 7, the people were they were paying their whole year wages just to get the head of a donkey to eat. They were so hungry, and then mothers were killing their babies and they were eating their children. And God told them in Deuteronomy, you get away from me, your children, he said, you're going to be your husband, the father. He's going to be well-dressed, nice car. But he's going to distance himself away enough so that, because he know he got to eat you tonight. Eat his own child. God said it. Rich man. And that's over there when he was talking to Moses. God described that thing so until there's no reason why these people should be where they are today. I don't know what does it bother me. So babies being eaten and food was so high, like you may pay $100,000 just for a piece of donkey tail. They were just that hungry because that army had surrounded, the Syrians had just surrounded them and had them locked in like that, and they couldn't get out and they couldn't get in. And sometimes they would seize the country for years and years and years. They said, we're going to break you. And then they got these people until people just, they couldn't handle it. They were dying. But Elijah woke up, and when the king came in to cut his head off, Elijah said, man, that food going to be tomorrow. If it costs you $100,000 for a donkey jaw, it's going to be on sale tomorrow for 6 or 7 cents an ounce or pound. And the guy that spoke with the king, that was his right-hand man, he said, man, okay, you lying. I don't believe, blah, blah, blah. And Elijah said, well, you will see it, but you won't eat it. The next day came 24 hours. God made the Syrians hear sound, and they took off and left all that stuff. Bottom line, the stuff was on sale for 6 or 7 cents a pound. And the man that ran his mouth, the king said, go stand at the gate and make sure that the people come in. Basically, you behead of the people coming in. The folk ran over the man, killed him. So we either, and you say, why is there so much violence? What you talking about in the world? Or you talking about in the word? And I will say this much. The United States, we're blessed. We got so much to thank God for. We look good. We look, and I'll say this, we can do better. But there are some countries that still look like chapter 8. The thing about the United States, we have access to the word. We just need to go in it. There are some people that don't have access. And there are some people that don't have access, and they put them Bibles in the library, in the hotel, over there. I don't know. I just heard a guy talking. That's hearsay. But they said, we don't know what else to do. Too many people died, so they start passing Bibles. You want to read it? Read it if you want to. Used to be a law against it. We don't have a law against it. We just don't read it. Consequence, we both failed in the test. They couldn't read it. We don't read it. All right, let's get in chapter 8. So I would encourage you to pray for your leaders. Not only that, demand that they teach you the word of God. And then you have to be patient with them to the point that they try. But if they refuse, I wouldn't sit there and die. I'd be like them 4 lepers. I'm getting up out of here. I got to go take my chance somewhere else. All right, verse 1. Then spake Elisha unto the woman. Oh, God, this is so good. Let me tell y'all who this lady is. Okay, it's something biting me. Then spake... I almost need to go get something to spray down here. Excuse me. Matthew, can you give me this bug spray in my because it's something biting me down here. It's look on the shelf in my this room right here. I need to spray some, please. Something biting me. Anyway, check this out. Look at my bathroom. Or I don't know, just find something somewhere in there. Something biting me. Then spake Elisha unto the woman. Now, who is this woman? Elisha met this woman, and he would come to town, and she said, come on over here, Elisha. When you want something to eat, stop at the house. And he said, okay. And he did. Then she told her husband, she said, build him a room, baby, to the add a room. So when he come in, he at least stay all night. And he did. Her husband did that. And then Elisha, Elisha was so, I don't know what it is. I'm good. I just keep it. Elisha was he was so appreciative until he asked that lady, he told Gehazi, he said, go down there and check and see what the lady need. And she said, I don't need anything. I live among my people. And then Gehazi said, she don't have no kids. So Elijah called her lady up and said, from this day to this time next year, 9 months later, you're going to have a baby. And she had a son. And the son grew up, and he went out to his dad and said, Dad, my head hurt. He said, send him back to his mama. So they took him back to his mama, and the boy sat on the mama's lap. And the child died. The lady took the child upstairs, laid him in Elijah's bed that he stayed in when he came to town. You put a dead man in a live man bed, that baby something got to happen. Anyway, so the lady got and called her husband and said, I need you to hitch me a ride, give me my ride, give me a donkey to ride on. He said, where you going? She said, I'm going to see the man of God. He said, it's not neither new moon or Sabbath. What? She says, well, that lady did not tell her husband her baby was dead. She rode about 16 miles, got to Elisha, and Gehazi met her. He said, that woman, that Shunammite woman. And so Gehazi went out there to say, hey, are you Miss Shunammite? She said, yeah. He said, everything all right? She says, well. So she bypassed him, and then she went in there and fell down and grabbed Elijah's foot. And Gehazi tried to snatch that woman away, and Elijah leave that woman alone. He said, something bothering this lady. And when she told him, she said, now, you came to my house. I ain't asked you for no baby. I got a son. My boy laying up in your bed dead. I'm going to need you to come home. So Elijah sent Gehazi and said, take my rod and lay it on that boy. And she said, you can do that if you want to, bottom line, but you got to come go with me. Guess what the word said? The word said, and he got up and followed the woman. Elisha got back to that woman's house, went in that room where that boy was, laid his body on it. And the Bible said the boy, nose, eyes, hand, he laid on the boy like we would probably do, what they call, resuscitate somebody. So he got up and the body of the boy was warm. And then Elisha went back down, and the Bible said he walked to and fro. And he went back up there, and that boy sneezed for seven times. That boy got up and he gave him back to his mom. This that woman I'm getting ready to talk about. But what I want to say is Elijah never said, let me speak to your husband. She had one. He never talked to the man. So that's why you can't program God. God said, I hate it when y'all do that. Every couple does not operate the same. In her house, her husband was there. But she was that virtuous woman that he said, my husband securely or truly, Proverbs 31, trust in her. So you might see her being the woman that's in the front. And God is saying, that's the way they run their house. I said, women love your husband. I can't make your husband and you act like my husband. Well, I need to run my house what works for me. Elijah, the man of God never talked to the husband. So here we go in chapter 8. Then spake Elijah unto the woman. And this is not about, I don't do gender thing. I just want to say what the word said. Then spake Elisha unto the woman, whose son he had restored to life, saying, arise. He said, he said, arise and go you and your household. And sojourn, go find you a temporary stay, wherever you want to go, wherever you want to stay, for the Lord has called for a famine, and it shall also come upon the land 7 years. You talk to the man, talk to the woman. And the woman arose and did after the saying. She told her husband and her son, let's go. And whoever else was in her household. And the woman arose and did after the saying of the man of God, and she went with her household and sojourned or made temporary stay in the land of the Philistines 7 years. So she went, and he said, wherever you go, you're going to be all right, but just get out of here. 7 years later was gone. Guess what happened when she came back? And it came to pass at the 7 years end that the woman returned out of the land of the Philistines. She said, I'm going back home. He said, 7 years is up. And she went forth to cry unto the king. She went to the government for a house. And she said, I need my house back and my land. And the king was talking with Gehazi. She was on her way. Get me to the king, to the governor's office. And the king was talking to Gehazi, the servant of the man of God, saying, tell me, I pray, Something to think. Tell me, I pray the things. Tell me, I pray you, all the great things that Elisha had done. That's Gehazi. Gehazi, I'm going to stop there. Gehazi could have been saying, you know I'm white as snow, right? He said, I'll steal it. And Elijah, God told Elijah, turn me white as snow. Well, God turned me white. Anyway, I got leprosy. He didn't tell the king that. They in there talking. He could have started out with that, but maybe the king already know that. Because he said, tell me the great things. But anyway, that's me thinking because the word is funny to me. Tell me, I pray thee, all the great things Elisha has done. He said, tell me some of the good stuff that Elisha did. And he said, oh, well, anyway. And while they were talking, it came to pass, as he was telling the king how he had restored a dead body to life, that behold, the woman whose son he had restored to life cried to the king for her house and for her land. She said, you the king? I need my land back. I don't know what she said. Like she said, may I see the king? I need my land back and my house back. And Gehazi said, my lord, oh king, this is the woman. Well, this is the same one I'm talking about. This is the woman, and this is her son. Oh king, this is the woman, and this is her son. So she had the boy with him. I didn't see that last night. I see it now. Whom Elisha restored. This is the boy right here. That's his mama. We were just talking about y'all. The lady probably said, no, she did. That's me acting up. You white. Why you so white? No, she didn't say that. That lady said, I want my land and I want my house back. And the king asked the woman, she told him, he said, is that true? She says, yeah, it's true. The boy was dead. Yep. But I came here for my stuff back. So the king appointed unto a certain officer, saying, restore all that was hers and all the fruit of the fields since the day that she left the land until now, even until now. Get that woman back her land. Get that woman enough fruit. Whatever we got off her land for the last 7 years, restore it back to this woman. She's coming back and she's going to be restored right back in the position that she was in. Plus, she's going to have enough to live off until she can get back on her feet. Didn't miss a beat. God spoke to Elisha. Elisha told that woman. The woman left, and God never talked to that man. And Elisha, okay, and that's the end of that part of that story. Now watch this. We can understand that part. Then Elisha, so the curtain closes on that. Shh. Verse 7. And the curtain opens up. Shh. And Elisha came to Damascus. So that woman got her needs met. And Elisha came to Damascus, and Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria, was sick. And you can learn a lot about Ben-Hadad, but you just got to go back into those chapters. And it was told him, saying, the man of God has come here. Ben-Hadad said, he in town. He said, yeah, he here. And the king said to Hazael, take a present in your hand and go meet the man of God and inquire of the Lord by him, saying, shall I recover of this disease? These people, God had a man, because he in there baking, preparing for Jesus. So he had a man to get us while he's still stirring everything up. We have the word of God. This is the Elisha. This book right here is the word of God. This is the same thing Elisha had. We got a copy. Elisha was the man they had to seek. We don't have to seek anybody. We need people, don't get me wrong. But you can go to word for yourself. So whatever the word says is what he was telling Elisha. So this guy called Elisha and said, told this guy that worked for him, go ask Elisha to ask God, am I going to be healed? I just need to know. Go ask God what's going on with the corona. I don't think I want to do that. Okay. All you got to do is go check the word and see how we got here. Anyway. So Hazael went to meet him, Elisha, and took a present with him, even of every good thing of Damascus. He's saying, you're taking him we don't use this no more. We'll give him that. That ain't not what he did. Every good thing of Damascus. 40 camels burden. He said, I'm going to take this man 40 camels full of stuff. They said, we're going before somebody great. And what is Elijah going to do with all this stuff? But God was like, you know what Elijah did with this stuff? Gave it back to the people. He got it, but he made sure the folk got it. even of every good thing of Damascus, 40 camels burdened, and came and stood before him and said, your son Benadad, they saying your son, as if he was the high priest. Your son Benadad, king of Syria, has sent me to you, saying, shall he recover? Or he told me to ask you, is he going to recover from the disease? And Elisha said unto him, go. He said, say unto him, go tell him. You may certainly recover. You're going to recover. Howbeit, however, the Lord has shown me that you're going to surely die. Go tell him he's going to recover. But tell him he's going to surely die. And he set his countenance. In other words, Elisha did this. The word says, and he settled his countenance steadfastly. That means he didn't move. Until he was ashamed, he dropped his head. And the man of God wept. He looked at that guy just like that. Tears run down his eyes. And Hazael said, why are you weeping, my Lord? And he answered. He said, because I know the evil that you would do unto the children of Israel. Their strongholds, places where they hide out, you're going to set them on fire. And their young men, you're going to kill them. You're going to kill a lot of young men with the sword. And you're going to dash the children. You're going to kill them by kids. And you're going to rip up their women with children that's pregnant. And tears was just falling out that man's eyes. Talking to the man that said, you're going to do this. And the man said, and Hazael said, but what? Is your servant a dog? Am I a dog? Did you say this to me? Then he said this. He said, am I a dog that I should do this great thing? All you saying? He said, the Lord showed me. And thou shalt be king over Syria. He told him, the man that you came up here to represent, you're going to take his place. But I just showed you how you're going to treat them people. So he departed from Elisha and came to his master, who said to him, what said Elisha to you? He said, what did Elisha tell you? Am I going to be all right? And he answered, he told me that you should surely recover. And it came to pass on the next day, tomorrow, that he took a thick towel a thick cloth, and dipped it in water so that he died. And no, he said he took a thick cloth and dipped it in water and spread it on his face so that he died. Smothered the guy. Suffocated the guy. And then guess who reigned in his place? And Hazael is now king. He went straight home and killed that man. Closed curtain. Zoop. Going to another section of chapter 8. I ain't got to it. Now, this is where we getting ready to go. What I was telling y'all, you got to watch God. God said, now you followed a woman and she got her land back and never talked to the husband. That's not God's emphasis, but I just brought that up. So the next time y'all hear Ladies, let me tell y'all something. Get y'all a pink highlight and go through the word. Anytime you see the women in the word, highlight it. And stay away from people that talk about women like that. Because God said, my word ain't where y'all screw this thing up. Picking scriptures and making it bigger than what I said. Just read me and follow me and let me be the leader. All right, and the next verse, 16, this is a whole new story. That's one story, two story, third story. And in the 5th year of Joram, watch this word, this guy named Joram, J-O, you should have the word Joram. I'm one of these days, I'm going to have this stuff all behind me because I got to teach. I have to teach. In the 5th year of Joram, the son of Ahab, king of Israel. Ahab is an evil king. In the 5th year, the son of Ahab, King Joram. So this guy been reigning. He's been the king for 5 years. On this side, Jehoshaphat being the king of Judah, Jehoram, the son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, began to reign. This guy named Joram, this guy named Jehoram, and they mentioned his dad name, the son of Jehoshaphat. That's just giving you more details about him. His name is Joram. His name is Jehoram. His name is Joram. His name is Jehoram. Watch God. This guy, Jehoram, 32 years old, he was 32 years old when he began to be king, to reign. And he reigned 8 years. So if he's 32, 8 years, so when the time he got 40, he died. But I'm just telling you that just for the mathematical part. This guy name is Jehoram. Pay attention to details. And he walked in the way of the kings of Israel. What does that mean? He was evil. Even though this was the bad king. This was the godly king. They did wrong things, but then they obeyed God when God instructed. But now this guy says, I'm going to be just like this guy. Jehoram. And he walked in the way of kings of Israel, the bad king, and did as the house of Ahab, did like these folk. Why? For the daughter of Ahab was his wife. He went over here and found him a wife over here. So God's obedient church started acting like God's disobedient church because this guy married a wife from over here that wouldn't listen. He married Ahab's daughter. And he did evil in the sight of the Lord, Jehoram. Yet the Lord would not destroy Judah. And this is who he's on this side, Judah, because this guy's backsliding. Because of David. One man, David, kept God's eyes on Judah. This is Judah. But now we got a king that's not acting right. He said, but I'm going to keep my eyes on Judah for David's sake, as he promised to give him always a light and to his children. This is the tribe that Jesus came through. Joram. All right. While this guy was king, in his days, Edom revolted from under the hand of Judah. In other words, Edom said, I'm sick of y'all taking taxes. Who is Edom? Esau's kinfolk. Jacob and Esau. He got all these 4,000 years later. They still mad. But they came under the rulership of David. But David treated them fairly. But they said, we sick of y'all. But under this weak king, anything weak is saying, they're going to try to get loose from you. So this king is weak now. He doesn't have the same strength as David. Let me say this right now. What made David such a good king? It's not because he did things right. He could be corrected. That's all that made David different. When God said you're wrong, he corrected his answers. That's the only thing that made David different. What do we do today? Ain't nothing wrong with what I'm doing. Anyway, all you got to do, and then David almost 70 years old too. And we get real tough when we get 70. But God took an old man. I must have got an ant or something down this thing biting me. And God took an old man, David in that old man chain. And God said, that's beautiful. Anyway, in his day, Edom said, we don't want Judah telling us what to do no more. So Edom said, we ain't paying you no more taxes. So watch this name. His name is Joram. His name is Jehoram. Watch this name. So Joram, him. Pay attention to details. His name is Jehoram, and it's also named Joram. In fact, both of these boys named the same thing. Jehoram, Jehoram. Joram, Joram, nickname. So you pay attention to that. Same name, but the word is trying to show you, watch the details. I'm calling him his nickname. I'm saying nickname because that's what we call people. We don't call him by the straight name. This guy's not even on the scene. This guy's still on the scene. Jehoram, and God refers to him now as Joram. So he wants us to know these two guys pay attention. Their names are interchangeable. This boy ain't on the scene now, just this boy. Jehoram, what they call you at home? Joram. Okay, now we call him you Joram. So you have to be careful. This guy been king, Joram over here been king 5 years. His name Jehoram too. We ain't talking about him right now. We're going to get to him. We stick with this guy right here that's disobedient, that married Ahab's daughter. So Joram went over to Zair and all the chariots with him, and he rose by night and smote the Edomites. Y'all don't want to pay me no tax, I'm kill you. Which compassed him about, and the captains of the chariots and the people fled into their tents. So they went in and attacked those people, the ones that did say, well, you ain't gonna tell us what to do no more. We ain't paying you no more taxes. So I'll kill you then. That's not what God told him to do. But he's not paying attention to God no way. Yet Edom said, we still ain't gonna pay you nothing. You might have killed some of us, but you ain't kill all of us, and the ones that live, we ain't giving you nothing. Yet Edom revolted from under the hand of Judah until this day. They didn't go back. They wasn't scared of him. Then another group got together. We leaving too. Libnah revolted at the same time. Weak king causes weak people to want to walk away. They already want to get out of there. Now that you're weak, now you can't stop it. You got the strength to stop us. We're getting up out of here. And the rest of Jehoram's, the acts of Joram and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? So Chronicles is going to be lined up just like Kings with a little more detail. And Joram, this guy right here, died. Joram is his nickname. I'm saying nickname so you can get it. And Jehoram is his birth certificate name. And Joram slept with his father and was buried with his father in the city of David. And Ahaziah, another son, his son, king of Judah, began to reign. So now we got another king. Joram on this side is dead. Joram, same name. He has a son now, Ahaziah. All right. How old was Ahaziah when he took the job? 22 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 1 year. Wicked daddy. Daddy left a son. He reigned as king 1 year. They're letting you know something. Let's see what that means. And his mother's name was Athaliah, the daughter of Omri, king of Israel. And his mother's name was Athaliah, the daughter of Omri, king of Israel. And this boy walked in the same way old low-down Ahab did. And he walked in the way of the house of Ahab. He did evil in the sight of the Lord, as did the house of Ahab. Whenever you hear Ahab, you already know it's something rotten. Just like people make certain leaders and they call them bad leaders. Yeah, we got them back into. He's like an Adolf Hitler, and I gotta take it back there. I ain't gonna bring 2000. So Ahab is a bad king. I don't want to call the other folk name. For he was the son-in-law of the house of Ahab. This boy, he married one of Ahab's daughters too. And he went, I got to talk about this boy, grandma. And he walked in the way of the house of Ahab and did evil in the sight of the Lord, as did the house of Ahab, for he was the son-in-law of the house of Ahab. So he went over there and got him one of them women over here too. And he went with Joram, back over here, same name as Jehoram, same name. The other one dead. This one is still alive with my left hand. It's the evil one. And he went with Joram, the son of Ahab, to the war against Hazael, king of Syria. So the guy that killed that guy, they going to get him. They went to war with Hazael, king of Syria, in Ramoth Gilead, and Syrians wounded Joram. So the guy that smothered the guy, he's a king in Syria. He smothered that guy. This guy on this side went to fight the guy that smothered the other king and took his place. And King Joram went back to be healed. So this guy went home and said, I don't feel good. That man hit me in my ear, he cracked my head. And King Joram went back to be healed in Jezreel of the wounds with the Syrian, this guy, given him in Ramah when he fought against Hazael, king of Syria. And this boy, everybody evil now. And Ahaziah, the son of Jehoram, king of Judah, went down to see this guy, the son of Ahab, in Jezreel because he was sick. That's the last verse. What is God saying to us with that information? Then he drops us off. He said, tune in for chapter 9. God ended it just like that because that's what a writer does. But just, and I'm going to close it so you can kind of understand what I was trying to say. A good teacher will be able to teach the students. If you don't learn nothing else about this chapter, pay attention to details. Pay attention to details. If you learn nothing else about this chapter, why did God write it like that? Because if you are in ministry, there's a lot of lessons in there. But a person that says, I'm qualified to teach God's people, do you pay attention to details or do you just skip that part? Because it's really easy. I just kind of gave y'all the nicknames and stuff, so you caught it. But what if you are a leader and God said, I want to call you in on 2 Kings chapter 8, explain it to me. Because you told old people, I called you. I knew that was in there, being God. I stuck it in there just so I want to see whether or not you're going to explain it right. Or do you take people and you just screw it up? And you talk all filibuster, say all kind of things that you can just, he says, stick with my word. Say what I say, but just pay attention to details. What do we learn about these guys? What kind of lesson other than pay attention to detail? You got two kings named the same time. At the same time. Well, this one was reigning 5 years earlier, then this one came in. They had the same name. What was wrong with this guy over here? How did he get off? He went over there and married the people from this side. And he got a new mother-in-law. He got a grandmama. All of them, evil people, came from this side. They influenced him as king on the right side. So that's one thing we learned is that God let you know the reason why they were leading wrong, because they got hooked up with the wrong people. You got a low-down wife, you got a low-down mother-in-law, and then you got a low-down grandma. All of them came from this side. So my whole thing after I got this right here, this chapter just leads you in, but it's saying, pay attention to details, and the story will continue. Where do we end up? This boy right here sick. This man right here that smothered that man, he hit him, made him sick. We got to find out what's going to happen to him. The guy that smothered the guy that Elijah said, you're gonna mess up pregnant women, you're going to rip babies out of pregnant women, you're going to kill a lot of boys, you're going to hurt children. You're a bad king. Syria. Y'all backsliding. You got the word, but you won't read it. This man don't know nothing about the word. He'll do anything. You got the word, but you won't read it. You know the word, but you're not paying attention. So you got 3 kings that God had taught. Oh, this is just too much. I can tell you over and over again. It's a lot, But the story takes time to understand. How did these three kings come by? They didn't just show up. God prophesied to Elijah. Elijah died with the prophecy. Elisha picked up the prophecy, and he's carrying out what God told Elijah, what was in him. Elisha took the baton, and he's carrying out the finished work of Elisha. So these three kings all got God's. It's all in the plan. Chapter 9. All I'm saying, if you don't learn anything else, and if you got confused, go back and reread it and understand God said. If you don't learn nothing else, pay attention to detail. That's all I can tell you. Chapter 9. I'm on my way. Talk to y'all later. Bye.